women place a little more importance on job, career enjoyment than men do. 74% versus 69%. At the same time, men place somewhat more importance on marriage and having children.
Do women not want kids anymore? This is going to be a wild one. We are reacting to Chris Williamson interviewing a woman on why family isn't a priority for Gen Z women.
Well, her name is Freya India.
Welcome back to the Wilson Brothers channel. I'm David. This is Isaac.
Welcome back, guys.
We as men are going to have a very interesting or difficult time watching this.
Family is, I believe, is the cornerstone of every single generation. Unfortunately, I think Gen Z women and men alike are not valuing family as much.
Let's dig deeper.
When asked what it takes to lead a fulfilling life, the public prioritizes job satisfaction and friendship over marriage and parenthood. 71% of all adults say having a job or career they enjoy is extremely or very important for people to live a fulfilling life, and 61% say having close friends is equally important. Only about 1 in 4 adults say having children, or 23% being married, is extremely or very important in order to live a fulfilling life. A third say each of these is somewhat important, and 42% and 44% say having children or being married is not to or not at all important.
Wow.
Having a lot of money is viewed as extremely or very important for a fulfilling life. Women place a little more importance on job, career enjoyment than men do. 74% versus 69%. At the same time, men place somewhat more importance on marriage and having children. 28% of men, compared with 18% of women, say being married is extremely or very important for a fulfilling life. Similarly, 29% of men versus 22% of women say the same about having children. And that was Pew Research that literally came out 3 months ago. The interesting take online was having a great job is zero sum. Only one person can be the best salesperson, but hypothetically, everyone can have a happy marriage and family.
That's a lot of statistics.
I mean, the foundation of it is that less than a third of people, I think it's around 25 if you combine men and women, actually think that having a family is important to
Where
have
do
a
you think that
fulfilling
came
life.
from?
It's come from this whole feministic culture.
Yeah.
Because, the problem was, I was watching earlier today a Patrick Bet David video, and he was interviewing the guy that, with the white hair that we were talking about. I can't remember his name. The guy that said Bitcoin was terrible.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so
Let me look up his
he was
name.
actually asking him what happened that made it so people don't want to have families, or they don't value the families back in the day, or even with inflation, why is it that men and women both have to work now in order for most families to survive? And he really went into depth about that. Back in the day, women were super happy being at home. They felt free, that they could do what they want to do. They weren't a slave to the workforce. But because of inflation and the government just keep printing money and all this stuff, it made it so that men and women had to work in order to do that. And now we are in a culture where that is expected, where people don't want to have kids anymore. And it's because they have been conditioned to thinking that you have to work your entire life, go to school, do all these things in order to rise in the ranks of society and make the most money you can. They're missing the freaking point. Like, I could make all the money in the world, and if I didn't have a family, it'd mean nothing. When you die, you raising and becoming the CEO of a company will mean nothing. You won't be remembered. You'll have no one around you on your deathbed, and it'll be pointless.
So going back to what you said, it was Peter Schiff on the PBD podcast talking about inflation, hyperinflation, which is coming to America, whether we like it or not.
It's already here.
The devaluation of the dollar. And I'm in crypto, which is a side business, what I do based off of, I don't just do this podcast. I have other businesses I run. But in terms of what you're talking about, the inequality of the monetization system of the government that we have today, President Lyndon Johnson actually passed the Civil Rights Act, which disincentivized women of color and other minority groups from actually keeping the father in the home, because they were going to get more welfare checks from the government for the father being out of the home, which in and of itself completely destroyed
the family unit.
The black community. Because in the early 60s and 70s, the black community actually had more fathers in the home than the white community.
Yeah, they were the foundation.
Yeah.
I think it was
they were in a better spot per capita than the white Americans.
Yeah, I think it was PBD's video as well, or maybe it was Michael Knowles and Pearl. I think it was one of them where they were talking about how back in the day, the black community, they were so well grounded in their culture that they were always wearing suits.
Yep.
They had that, mom and dad were everywhere. But it's not just that community. It's our culture as a whole, as a country,
Yep.
whether you're white, black, blue, anything, it doesn't matter now. That's seeped into every part of society and made it so that it's a lot easier not to have a family.
Yeah, and it comes down into the education
And
system.
they don't preach about what the long-term effects are, right?
Why would they do that? Because they don't know the long-term effects. Because they're still alive. Because history always repeats itself after people die.
Yeah, and the 80-year-olds that don't have kids,
Which they did.
always say that that's their biggest
Every single old
regret.
person that I talk to that doesn't have kids is so abhorrently sad.
The only person I've ever seen say that he's still happy he never had kids, Bill Maher.
Yeah, but you can tell he's absolutely depressed and sad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Let's see what she has to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I think again I would put that down to the lack of, role models again for young women who are showing that different lifestyle of, family and children. If you look at the top kind of pop culture stars that Gen Z women are looking up to and loving, they're all living a similar lifestyle because they're in that world where their ultimate goal is money and, fame and all of these values
Boss
that
babe.
Are kind of incompatible with children. They make children get in the way of that.
Yep.
They're not seeing role models whose ultimate values are family or legacy or anything like that. So it's just not being translated to them.
I wonder what will happen if Taylor Swift gets pregnant.
You pause it.
No, who was it? It was Ben Shapiro. He talks about the Swift revolution of how if
she gets pregnant,
he says if she gets pregnant, we are going to revert from this horrible society of childrenlessness into actually
Childrenlessness.
childless generation of not wanting to have kids, and there's going to be so many kids that's going to be called the Swiftie
Two
generation.
quick points I want to make. Number one, Elon Musk said that we need more babies in America because we're at 1.7 baby per capita versus we need to be at 2.3. Okay. So legal immigration is a beautiful way to change that. But unfortunately, because what we're dealing with right now, we're not able to have that because of all of the issues down where you guys know where.
The border,
right? And you don't have to be political, right or left, to understand that. If you are a common sense American, you understand where we're coming from.
Yes.
And so point number 2, name me one celebrity that actually values family above everything else. That's single and that doesn't have kids.
Single?
That doesn't have kids.
I mean, I don't remember everybody that's single or not.
Taylor, let's say for example, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
She's in her mid 30s. She sang all of her songs as if she was a teenage pop star.
Same with Ariana
With
Grande.
broken up relationships and how her man cheated on her and all of this. She's singing to teenage girls.
Yep.
And those teenage girls that have followed her since she became popular are still stuck in that cycle, and they hate men. They don't care about a family structure. And exactly what Freya India is talking about is that there's not role models in society that's actually encouraging the familiar nuclear structure.
And the reason it's so absolutely devastating,
pervasive,
is because I hate to say this is going to be controversial.
Yes, please say it.
If you want women to compete with men in society, I'm saying there will be women that succeed, but you are fighting an uphill battle because men are built in our DNA to go out there and go to war.
Yeah.
We from birth.
Yeah.
Like I have a daughter and I have another one on the way. Woohoo.
Congratulations.
I'm very excited. I haven't told that online yet. But if I have a son, which I don't know, I'll know in a month, I will raise him so much different. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or right side. Boys are raised different than girls. My girl, she's my princess. I give her kisses. I love her. I hold her. She falls down. I embrace her.
Yeah, you
She's
pick her up.
crying. Yeah, it's so different. But with a boy, I'm going from birth to train him for war.
Yeah, you have to in today's
I'm not going to
society.
do what Andrew Tate's father does and shoves him at 2 years old. But I'm going to train him for war. Yeah. It is built into kids' DNA, especially sons, to grow up to be warriors.
They're naturally more aggressive.
So that is who they're more stoic. They're not as emotionally driven by things.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to get women to to dominate in the workforce, you have to create laws that makes it so that it's not based on your merit in order for there to be equality. And that's the problem.
That is extremely controversial.
But it's true. You have to.
You're right.
Because I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It is true.
Men are going to win out.
What is the predominant factor amongst women CEOs or anybody in power in a Fortune 500?
They have to be more masculine.
They have to have more masculine
They have
traits.
to be more direct. They cannot be moved by
They
their
can be.
emotions.
What
They
did
have to
Jordan
go
Peterson?
in some ways, they have to go against their nature.
But what did Jordan Peterson say? What has he always trained the women that he's counseled on how to get better up in society, specifically within the workforce?
Well, he says
What's the number one thing?
Be more direct and be more less agreeable.
Yes.
Less agreeable.
You have to be
more
less
direct, more
agreeable.
You have to act more manly.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
You have to be more aggressive.
Yes. I'm sorry that I had to say that.
Don't apologize.
Okay, I am not. I was saying it in a very condescending way. I'm sorry that I had to say that, but it's true.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'm really not sorry.
sorry.
It's facts.
Facts don't care
Fucking
about your feelings.
hesitate to use Taylor Swift as the linchpin for female culture, but she has captured culture in a way that I don't think really anybody else has. And something tells me that Travis Kelce, he's a bearded beer drinker. I mean, he's also sponsored by Pfizer, and maybe paid for by George Soros, but he is a pretty old school sweary guy. His brother, behave in that kind of a manner.
Masculine.
Something tells me that he probably intends on having a family at some point.
Yep.
And if you've got the greatest or one of the greatest NFL players ever, their genes, plus perhaps one of the greatest female pop stars, it's make some kids. Come on. But if that happens, do you remember when Adele lost weight? And all of the body positivity people were like, you betrayed us and blah, blah, blah. I wonder how many people will say, they're all happy for the fact that Taylor Swift's in a relationship, but she is still able to do the dink role model thing. But if she decides to start having a family, I wonder how much of that would change. And then look at it the other way. I mean,
Good point.
Alex Cooper should have been called to account so fucking hard. She should have got dragged so fucking hard on the internet for extolling the virtues of casual sex and no frills attached and sleep with him and don't catch feels and here's how to the glug glug 4000 or whatever, this good blowjob episode that was episode number 3 of a podcast or something else, extolling the virtues of casual sex, and then for the final 3 years of the podcast secretly having a relationship with a guy that she was totally besotted and in love with, and then to kind of like Bruce Wayne saying that he's Batman, I'm engaged, and the engagement was so cute, and there was a rose garden, and he got down on one knee, and he'd asked my dad, and he'd done all of this other stuff.
Antithetical.
How big is the wake of broken girls that allowed themselves to be used by guys over the last half decade because of you as the second biggest, or whatever, one of the biggest female podcasts on the planet? How many girls did you basically sell a lie to about the lifestyle that you thought was good when what you were doing was the opposite? And then you knew it. You knew that this was the case.
Yeah. I think, again, it's that fear, the fear of telling girls what to do, but also the fear of in promoting a traditional lifestyle in any way. I think there's a terror of thinking that you're regressive if you start saying, I actually enjoy my marriage. I'm actually glad I got married young, or, I'm going to give up some of this, I'm going to put fame to the side to have children or things like that. I think a lot of probably older women feel that, but don't translate it to younger women because they don't want to lecture them. Whereas, we need some people in culture who are pointing, not saying all young women need to have children or get married, but saying, actually the most fulfilling things are things that you don't buy and you don't, need to have sold to you. They're things like a meaningful relationship and children, which are separate from the market, and they provide this kind of sustainable meaning. No one's saying that because it's not sexy and it's not attention grabbing.
Okay.
We need a female out there to say these things.
But here's the thing. Let's do a quick let's do a quick psychological exercise.
Okay.
I'm a 45-year-old woman.
Okay. That's believable.
I have no kids.
Yes.
I climbed the corporate ladder.
Correct.
And I wanted to, be a bad in the workplace.
Yeah.
why would I not tell younger women? And by the way, I regret not having kids. I regret not starting a family. And by this point, I'm past the point where I actually can have kids, or I'm close to that point, right? Close to menopause. Why would I not tell younger women?
Because she'll get canceled by the left and by the feminists that want her to be still all female.
No, I'm
empowering.
not. Let's say I'm not a cultural icon. I'm not somebody that has an online presence. Why would I not tell younger women that? I feel shamed for the fact that I didn't do it.
Well, so
I'm not really. That's what they were talking about. Is why do women not pass down the ills that they had to where younger women can't gain from it or be better from it?
Because they'll be unpopular and they're too worried
They'll be unpopular.
They're worried
There's
about the
shame
reputation.
involved, right?
Yeah. They're
And
worried about the reputation. Very
it's
simple.
so sad.
Dude.
Like, I'm not a woman by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, as a man, it breaks my heart to hear that there's so many cultural icons pushing a certain agenda, just like this person, Alex Cooper, is one of the biggest podcasters in the world, that she was presenting something online that was completely antithetical to what she actually did behind closed doors, where she had the most romantic proposal ever, but she was promoting things that was completely against what she actually lived in real life.
She's like the anti-Candace Owens. Candace Owens said on a podcast that if she was wanting to purely make as much money as she could have when Black Lives Matter
she would have been on
she
the-
could have been
she would have been on the
she
left.
could have been the poster woman
Yeah.
and made millions or even billions of dollars off of that road.
BLM?
Yeah, she said that she could have made so much money,
Yeah.
and so people call her a sellout. Oh, you're just doing it for money and this and that. She's like, no. If I wanted to make all the money in the world, all I would have had to have done is just jumped on that bandwagon and went against my convictions.
So
And
what's
that's what Alice Cooper has done.
So what's the price to sell your soul?
The promise of immortality
That's a short.
and unlimited wealth and influence, and that you can have, because everyone wants influence. Even if you are
It is the
even
it
if
is
you're
the
working at
fundament-
McDonald's, you want to be known and you want to make a difference.
It is
Everybody does.
It is the fundamental foundation of the human experience. Everybody wants to be loved. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. Not necessarily from a public platform, because 99% of the U.S. is scared of public speaking.
Yeah.
So if you are, and Charlie Kirk said this, if you are actually able to be an agent of change and have a voice to be a good communicator, you are in the 1%.
Are we in the 1%?
I would say on this podcast we are.
Well,
I don't really feel like there's much else. I think
are
there's-
there going to be any Swiftie babies coming soon?
hopefully we'll see.
Kelsey?
Kelsey, get to work, bro.
It's time to get those plums moving, boy. Let's
Get the
it.
plums moving.
Let's
But
get
before
it.
you get the plums moving, put a ring on the finger.
Yeah,
Get
better
married
get it.
first, because on this channel we believe that you need to be married before you have sex. Get married, have children.
Well, I mean, they're having sex. Just wait to have kids until you get married.
Yes, but morality standpoint.
Yeah, we're talking about generally.
Yes, but generalized, we believe in the morality of waiting until you get married to have sex and having a family. That's what we believe.
Because we
don't
believe
push-
it makes you strong, not going for what's easy.
It's not even
We-
just a religious. It's not just a religious
It's
conviction.
biological.
It is biologically sound, because women parabond to somebody for life, and if you break up with that person, when you parabond to them, you become an absolute travesty of your own emotions, and so do men. We just parabond different than women.
Yep. Love you guys. See you on the next video. Subscribe.
Peace.
Peace.